Hey, it's Travis. Too many camp directors run just on gut feel. Our free Resilient Camp Blueprint Diagnostic is your dashboard for resilience. Take it today at camp.mba/Travis. Again, that's camp.mba/Travis.
This is Camp Hacker. Come find our show notes and our blog for camp directors and leaders at camphacker.tv.
Good day and welcome to our podcast. This is Camp Hacker, episode 106, recorded on the 14th of February, 2018. On today's show, proven summer camp marketing methods. If you would like easy, automatic, free updates of our podcast, you can subscribe in iTunes, Stitcher, or most other places you get your favorite podcasts. This week's Camp Hacker podcast is sponsored in part by camp pros like you who support the show on Patreon. If you've got even one good idea from the Camp Hacker podcast, you could show your support for the show for as little as $1 per episode. That's right, even $1 a month plays a part in the production of every Camp Hacker podcast and helps us reach camp pros all around the world. For chipping in, you'll get some great rewards too, just like a Kickstarter campaign. Please go to patreon.com/camphacker. This month, we want to give a special shout out to these new patrons who've helped cover the cost of producing this Camp Hacker episode. Teresa McDonald-Lee and Angie Atkinson, thanks for letting your awesome out, Camp Mavericks. We hope you enjoy the Camp Hacker Show.
Hello, Camp Pros, and welcome to the Camp Hacker podcast. My name is Travis Allison. I'm a summer camp marketing and strategy consultant, and I also run the Summer Camp Professionals group on Facebook, and I'm pleased to welcome you to this episode of the Camp Hacker podcast.
And my name is Gabrielle Rail. I'm one of the camp directors at Camp Oro. Camp Oro is an all-girls camp situated in the Laurentian Mountains, and we focus on creating a positive girl community while doing that in French and English.
My name's Joe Richards. I'm the Executive Director at Pierce Williams Christian Center, which is a United Church of Canada summer camp and retreat facility. We're located in Fingal, Ontario, about halfway between Detroit and Toronto.
And my name is Marc Cooper. I'm the camp director at Camp Tamarack, located in Bracebridge, Ontario, and we welcome about 500 kids from all over the world every summer.
Awesome. Welcome back, Marc. It's good to have you here again.
Thank you.
And I should also say Marc is the newest contributor to Go Camp Pro. He's been putting up some articles that we're releasing this week and every month going forward. So we're looking forward to that, Marc. We're grateful.
Yeah, thank you.
So today, since it is the time of the year when we're recording this in February 2018, and it is the time of the year when some camps start to get really sweaty about their camper numbers. And so we thought we'd take the expertise, probably with this group, about 100 years of camp experience between us, and just share some of the things that we think are really working well and for getting kids in. It's either stuff we've tried and tested over the years or things we're working on now that are really bringing out more kids through interesting ways. So I want to start out with a couple of foundational ideas. So I would call them first principles in camp marketing. And first of all, I think it's really important that you understand that with all of the stresses of what goes into getting camp running, it's important that we prioritize our time, and marketing can fall by the wayside when there are other pressing things I got to get staff on, etc. But I would say my first principle is that the money moves the mission. And I have said that before on this show, I will repeat it again, is that getting kids into camp pays for all of the rest of it. And I think it should be your first priority. We have to shift those priorities at different times of the year, but getting kids to camp makes everything else, having the money that comes from those kids makes us able to make better budget decisions, better hiring decisions, just feel more comfortable as we go into the year. So I'd say one first principle is money moves the mission. And the other is to go for the easy wins first, which means that I believe you should lock in last year's campers first and make sure you know that they're coming back. You've got them paying. It's all looked after before you go chasing after some kid off an internet ad or a Google ad that's just looking for summer camp somewhere. You should be locking in last year's kids because they're a lot easier to do. And that allows you to establish some momentum and set the tone for the year. So those two first principles, I think, would be how I'd start us off. But I'd like to open it up to the rest of you and think about some of the things that have worked best. Not necessarily your newest stuff. I'd like to go to that towards the end. But what are the things that have worked best for you in the past to get campers to camp? Gab, you've got good head nodding going on. What's been some of the best successes for Waro?
Definitely what you're saying is you're trying to get those returning campers back. And one of the first things that we do if we see that people haven't registered is make those phone calls. And I think it's just that just has to be part of your marketing plan. A lot of the times families are just overwhelmed with the daily life and grind of of their ongoing schedules. And if you're trying, our priority registration used to be in January. No, actually it was in February. And we have over the years have been able to bring it back to December 1st. So we do have two different cultures. We have a French Canadian culture and English primarily Canadian culture. English Canadians tend to register earlier. French Canadians tend to register later. In their mind, they're like, why would I register for camp unless it's March? But we wanted to make camp the priority. And so just making those phone calls at the very beginning, that's just I think it's essential to do. And then if they don't want to come back because of the product, then we have an opportunity to make those shifts, or even talk to those families and say, we'd like the opportunity to make that shift. How can we work with you to get your family back on board?
I am constantly stunned at the camp directors who say to me, oh yeah, I won't call families.
Yeah.
It's stunning to me.
Same.
Yeah. And what do they say to you, Gab, when you say, well, why won't you call your families?
A lot of the times there's a lot of reasons, and then it just comes down to, usually it's like, I don't have time, which is, I find funny because you need campers to keep camp running. So
right.
They're the private. So I get it, but usually it comes down to, they don't want to hear what the parents have to say. They're nervous about maybe some of the things that happened over the summer. And it's more avoidance over anything. And I think that I totally understand that I'm an avoidant by nature person, but over the years, it's so much better to pick up the phone call. What I've actually noticed is that usually it's not parents that are upset or frustrated. It's more because they're distracted. And then the ones that are upset or frustrated, they're actually very genuinely happy that you contacted them. And usually I have a positive conversation with that family. If anything, even if they don't come back, they can say that this organization reached out and they took us seriously. And that also is obviously a marketing need. Yeah.
And I think if you're nervous about calling particular families or calling Loster's families, that's the sort of stuff. If you have problem areas, like I knew this cabin group was bad, and a couple of these kids had a bad summer, and I haven't seen them re-register. You got to get that out of the way in September. You can't wait till February or in Morrow's case in December, and start making those calls then. You get the tough ones out of the way so that these are just follow-ups. Like, we're looking forward to having you back at camp. It's less worrisome for you. Yes, it's hard to be on the phone with an upset parent, but that's part of our job. But yeah, just get on the phone, man. I don't understand. It makes such a huge difference. I've had camps who, get 10 or 15 registrations just from a week's worth of phone calls directly, let alone the normal rate of ones. It always makes a difference. Every time camps call, they get a bump in registration.
And the other thing is that what I find, it avoids problems in the future, because if your camp is doing well in registration, and those 15 families did not register in time for the priority registration, and now you're putting in new families into these spots, they contact you, and then all of a sudden their child doesn't have a spot at camp at the time that they wanted their kid to go to camp. And that's another problem that you've just created. It's a dissatisfied customer, and it's and I mean, parents are heartbroken because they do not want to tell their kid they messed up, they didn't contact. So you are avoiding that flip side that you need to deal with, because they're going to push for you to make those spots, and that becomes a little tricky as well.
Yep. Yeah.
I also find, Travis, it's also with the phone calls. When we do the phone calls, it's also an opportunity to find out, like, after the summer, after kind of like the dust has settled, you find out some really interesting stuff about, if a camper is not coming back, I also want to know, why aren't they coming back? What did we do wrong before I start like my hiring process? Like, you find out some really interesting stuff that you think you knew about. And once September rolls around, October, the kids are back in routine, other stories start coming up. So when we make those phone calls, well, if you're not coming back to camp, why? And was there something that we did, or was there an issue with the staff? And we actually take extra notes in that, and it kind of reflects good conversation pieces when we're meeting with some of our staff also, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So, Mark, is there's stuff that you'd recommend, or stuff that you're surprised that other camp directors aren't doing? That's probably a better question.
Yeah, a big thing I think something that has worked for us, which when I hear some other people, it's just easy kind of stuff. Like, the phone calls are just easy. It's human nature. We don't want to, it's like that fear of rejection. We don't want to hear bad things. We only want to hear the positive. A thing that we do is, around now is we'll do the classic email campaigns, but with a big referral bonus, right? A referral bonus of just, word of mouth to me is still the king of the game. Like, we do the Google ads, we do the Facebook stuff, but it's, if I have someone come in and experience camp and they have a great time and they can tell a friend. So the past couple of years we've done little incentives, whether it's, refer a friend and your kid can get a tuck credit, or you get depends on the session they also register for.
Yep.
And, some people will say, oh, well, we're just giving away money, but it shows that we're appreciating our people. And then I also say the flip side is, would I give, our camp, would I give, $100 discount or $50 discount to get a camper? Yeah, I would do that over and over, 100 times over. Like, if it cost me $100 to get a $1,000 kid for just someone else being kind of our agents. And I think that's the key and I put it also to my staff. Like, we just had a camper who's coming back this year who met some of our staff last year that were working at Banff ski resorts. And she said, we would have never have known about Tamarack if Emily didn't tell us about Tamarack, about camp. And I was like, wow. So I even put it out to my staff. Hey, if you have a family friend and you refer them, you'll get, and your staff, it just gets them, these ambassadors to talk about. You have this army of people to take advantage of. And we intentionally will send out an email to our staff saying, hey, not just finding us other great staff, but you have cousins, you have neighbors, you have friends, and they know that you go to camp. So talk, and here you'll get a Tamarack hoodie, and they want to talk about it anyways. And, so those are some of those quick email blasts to say, hey, refer a friend, and you would get whether it's a cash credit towards a camper spot or Tamarack swag for your kids. It's not always about the money. They're happy if their kid gets a Tamarack water bottle or something also.
Right.
Yeah.
I would encourage camps to be creative with what those thank yous are or the incentives are. Like, don't make it, the leftover tech shop items, leftover water bottles from 2 years ago. Do something special for them that says, 2017 referral agent, or make up a funny logo with special agent thing, referral agent logo, something that's just really special that you can't just buy, that their friends can't buy when they get to camp. Make it something really good and creative.
Like that.
Thanks, Mark. Joe, how about for you? What are your things you're surprised that other camps aren't doing to get kids in?
I'm surprised, and some of this is that you have to do before now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm surprised that people don't do simple things like send birthday cards to campers that staff have signed, or send a holiday card to the campers. Just those touch points that we have in marketing go a long way. What we started to do this fall, and we did it a bit late, but in September and October, the goal for us is to call first-time campers who came as well. Just to talk to the parents about what was the experience. How can we do better? I love. We would call all the campers. I'm like everybody else, right? Like, phone calls are easy to do, but it's just booking the time in to do them. so those touch points of birthday cards and are huge for parents who then say, like, you would not believe the smile on my kid's face when they opened this card and like 25 staff had signed it. Yeah. And there's not a lot more you can do to reach a kid who believes that you all signed it last week as opposed to 5 months ago when you were at camp. Yeah. So I think those are a couple of the points that I would encourage other camps to start. And the beginning of those things, our Christmas card includes their cabin photo, not a digital copy of a printed old school photo that you can pull out of the card, a little 4x6 photo and put somewhere. And we tried one year, maybe 5 years ago, to do it digitally, put digital photos on the cards. And we got complaints from campers and camper parents because the photo, they wanted to keep the photo, not the Christmas card. So those are a couple of things that I think are really valuable in those touch points. If you're starting now, I think phone calls now are hugely important to the members who haven't signed up, but also even phone calls to parents who have signed their kids up and just get, because the referral program is not something we've done at Pierce Williams, and we've talked about it recently. It's a difference between $1,000 camper and a $300 camper, right? There's what is your referral bonus, and saying $100 off camp, you're like, no, like that doesn't work. And the balance, Travis, of saying that campers generate the income is only true if you're not subsidizing every camper who comes to camp. So there are church camps out there who subsidize every camper through other means. Mm-hmm. And so in the end, when you do the math, more campers doesn't always equal more income.
Right.
That outstrips the expenses you're going to put forward. So it's a bit of a balance on that end for camps who run at a lower cost per week and subsidize that through donations or churches or whatnot. So, I think those are the big ones that we do and we do well. And those are just part of our culture now. So we don't think about them.
Right.
We just do them.
So my challenge is not to Pierce Williams, but to other camps who are of the same thing. First of all, let me say this. I think you need to be creative. Again, you need to be creative with what the thank yous are. I don't think it has to be money. And sometimes, as Mark said, sometimes those people are like, I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this because my kid had a life-changing experience, and I think more kids should have that. Mm-hmm. And those people may be bothered by the fact that you're offering them money. It's like, you just did the best thing in the world for me, and I'm saying thank you, and you're paying me money to say thank you. I don't want to overread into that, but I think you need to be creative and sensitive to your community. Like whatever.
And I think the reality is you don't need to do something that's dated, but you could have like a secret agent for Pierce Williams hat. We this year have discovered that you can order things from China really cheap, and they actually come. And so, like, to get an order of 300 secret agent hats and just give them out to people who refer a friend, that's really easy. And at $3 a hat, they'll never know it was only $3, right?
Yeah. It's not about the price tag. It's about just that feeling of being appreciated and feeling special, right? And that's what it is. It's even a lot of times people will say, like, I don't want it. We're happy. And most of the people they're super just happy. We're going to refer anyways, right? Yeah. We're just going to refer a couple of years ago, we had our referral rate, and then we trimmed it down a lot because it wasn't about the money. It really wasn't. It was more, they're happy if they have a good experience, they're going to refer anyway. So they're happy, to do that.
Right.
I think
handwritten thank you card on a personal video is such a great way to do that. It's so
you
rare.
Introduced me to that new poncho. Yeah, and it's absolutely, it has made a ridiculous difference when I'm dealing with some of our rental group business. I pulled that out, and they were like, that was the coolest thing.
Yeah. Gab?
I was just going to say that I think that also if you can give your alumni sort of like a VIP pass. So one of the things that we do is if you were a staff member, so you do have to be a staff member. If you're a past staff member at Waro, you get a VIP pass, meaning that you can refer a camper and that family gets the discount. The alumni doesn't get anything except for obviously a thank you card, but that family. And it sort of is like, hey, I know somebody from the inside. I can get you a little discount.
I love it.
Yeah. And then that way your alumni are still talking about camp. And if they have kids, then they can give themselves that discount for the first year of that child, and they can give themselves a discount the next year for their second child. But it really allows them to have that conversation. Like, I can get your kid in for a little bit less because I know these guys.
There's so much psychological value in that. You're showing your alumni that you value them. When an alumni can say to someone else, your kid should really go to my camp. Here, why don't you use my code? And, then the camp knows who did it. Oh, such a great idea. Really awesome.
And our alumni have now it's starting to pick up. And so that's very, very helpful. And they want to know what's going on at camp, what's new at camp, what's stayed the same. That's very important. Yeah. But it gives them the tools. And we used to send out packages where they could, share that information, but, making sure your online game is good. Yeah. Then it just allows them to do that from their phone or computer.
Right. What a great idea. Okay, so one other thing I was going to say, it goes back to something else, that I think that what you can invest in this, again, personal touches are the best, but what you can afford to invest in some sort of referral thing for a new camper, maybe more than you think it is. So, it's sort of a question of understanding what the lifetime value is. I call it the camper lifetime value of a kid is. So for a Mark, if it's $1,000 on average for a kid, and that kid comes for an average of 7 years, then what are you willing to pay to make $7,000? So if you at a smaller has week-long sessions, it's less expensive. Are you willing to pay $100 to make $900? Because you know that you're not actually calculating how long that kid is there for 1 year. You're calculating the whole lifetime of them. And that gives you a whole different number. It's a different budget when you start to look at this. Like, on average, our kids stay for 5, 6, 7 years. We don't know what that is. We'll have to figure it out. And then we can multiply that by a week, whatever a session is, not a week, but a session at camp. And then we know what the lifetime value is. So you might be willing to invest more into marketing and your whole marketing budget in general, but into specific rewards. If you know that, I'm willing to spend 10% of a rate of an average to acquire that much income.
We did that, Travis. That's exactly the kind of the model we did. And we also looked at it, not just the one camper, but the sibling effect, right? So that one camper, that first time camper, and then we get the sibling, and we don't have to, like, the cost to market to that sibling. If we've already marketed that family, it's just trickle down effect, right? So, and then that's exactly kind of how we did it.
Yeah, the customer lifetime value of one kid could be almost infinite.
Yeah. As
it just goes on to their friends, their neighbors, the next generations, et cetera.
Yeah.
Cool. I would say my thing that I'm surprised that more camps don't do is do a big sort of a launch party for when they open registration. I talk to people all the time about this, obviously, because it's my business. But when I talk to people, it's like, what happened on the first day of registration? Oh, we sent out an email and we posted it to Facebook, and we got 2 registrations. It's like, you can't. That drives me crazy. It's like that launch day. It should be like launching a new business. You're launching your whole year on this one day. You want to drive as much registration as possible on the start, because it builds momentum. It has more people saying, yeah, we're going to camp. You start to train people away from, as Gab's talking about, moving the start of registration further and further back so you can make better business decisions. But I think that should be a 6 to 8 week campaign. Emails every week, social proof stuff every week. So you're sending out the things that people put on surveys. You're sending out videos from staff and parents and campers and alumni talking about how camp has changed them. Like, it should be one of the biggest projects of your year is the opening day of registration. And so many camps are like, yeah, I posted it to Facebook. Like, what an incredible lost potential when that thing could set up the momentum for your whole business year. And, the payoffs are so great. When you as a camp director can say, we are 40, this is the first week of registration and we're 45 campers ahead of our numbers from last year at this time. That is a great thing to say to your boss, your owner, to yourself if you're the owner. It's a great position to be in. Mm-hmm. So I wish more camps were more intentional about that.
And I think that one of the things that you're talking about is not pushing the date, but it's telling your story. So with those videos, it's about the great stuff that you've done and the great stuff that you're going to be doing next year. It's about lives that are changed. It's about et cetera, et cetera. But you're telling your story, and you're linking the start of your camp experience, which is the registration period. So I think a lot of people get sometimes confused that they don't want to just put a date out there, and it's like, no, it's an opportunity to keep reminding and educating people on what you do so well.
Yeah. And it's this aspect as well, Gab, right, that when you're telling your story, you're telling how you help not just the campers, but to ask a question of parents in some of those stories, like, how has camp helped you as a parent? Mm-hmm. Because this goes to that idea of story brand, where we're the guide. We're not the hero of the story. We're the guide. And so if we can, and being a guide, we're helping parents raise amazing kids, right? We're helping the kids. I get that. But in the end, we're helping parents raise amazing kids and successful members of society.
Yeah. Joe, my next question is, what is something that you have seen at a conference or having conversations with people? We all know that it's a big part of your own professional development to go and tour other camps. What's something that you've seen in someone else's marketing that you've been thrilled and excited to implement at Pierce Williams?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think that when I think about things I'd love to do, it has to do with it has to do with getting the more families onto not even a referral basis, but just families selling camp. Mm-hmm. Right. The idea, it's not home visits per se, because like in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, I did a lot of home visits, and I'm not sure how much that's going to sell camp for us. But it's this idea, when I see marketing, great marketing, what it tends to be is honest video or honest updates that and testimonials of parents who have been campers and have campers coming to camp. I think from a camp marketing perspective, it's hard as a camp director because you don't always see the marketing stuff. When you go and tour camps, you tend to see the camp, you see the infrastructure, but you rarely go out and search for what other camps are doing. Like when I'm reviewing Google AdWords, right, you see other camps' ads, and I've liked some Facebook pages for camp stuff, but we need to be really cautious about all of our business pages on Facebook, because they can change everything in the blink of an eye to take away any gains that we've made. So I think more phone calls. Camps that do phone calls are really successful, and I've sort of let that fall by the wayside. But the idea that we as a camp director have to call, a board member can call, an alumni can call, just touch base that somebody at camp cares about you as a past camper, or as an inquiry, or as a camper who didn't come to camp last year, right? So I think from a marketing standpoint, for me, it's this idea that we need to be more in touch with the people we've already met. Because getting new campers is always going to be difficult. I was walking around the mall last night, and my thought as I looked at every kid was like, why don't they come to camp? Like, why don't they come to camp? Which sounds weird, but like in Elgin County in Ontario, right? That's my home base. And I'm looking at all these kids being like, like, how do I get them to come to camp? How do I get their parents to let them come to camp? Mm-hmm. And for us, part of being local and close to home, because there are a lot of camps that don't have the same opportunity, we started last year offering free PA days, and for a few years we've done some March break single days, not a whole camp. We're not trying to do a 3 or 5 day camp. We're just saying, hey, great, come for the day. Right. And we're close enough that parents can come for the day and join us, and the campers can see the staff and get those experiences.
Right. Gab, is there stuff that you've seen in your travels that you've been excited to come back to Woro and implement there?
Yeah, I'm all about right now struggle and success stories. I think a lot of times they show the end part, but not the process of the struggle success. And that can be from the parent's point of view, that can be from the child's point of view. But if you can capture those, and it comes to, things like, I was nervous before I went to camp. I thought I wouldn't make any friends. And the first day I met X, Y, and Z. And I was still a little apprehensive, but then blah, blah, blah. And these sort of struggle success stories, I think there's so many of these at camp, and there's so many that happen even before camp, with new families coming to your organization. So I think struggle success stories I'm very excited about. I'm also very into looking at patterns of statistics with registration to your campers, and who's coming back year after year, where do we lose them, and looking at those patterns. One of the patterns that we found was that our overseas campers when they started, their families were invested in Woro, and they would make sure that they were coming back year after year, especially if they took a plane. If they took a plane, we had these campers. And we looked at why. And one of the reasons that is our hypothesis is that kids that come via plane have a lot more contact with us. We talk about how to pack for the flight. We send out helpful tips and hints. They get a picture of who's going to be picking them up. They have a video welcome. And we looked at that and we said, well, of course, it's not that they're overseas or that they're coming from BC. It's that our communication, and there's a lot of how-tos and tips and tricks. So we're adjusting that for other campers, not for every camper, but for specific groups, service campers, and et cetera. So looking at statistical patterns, I'm kind of getting stoked about. Nice. Which I think my math teacher would have never in high school guessed that I would have ever said that, but I'm into it.
That's awesome. How about for you, Marc? Is there stuff you've seen from other camps or the business world that you've been really excited? It doesn't have to be recent, but what are the things that you've been excited to implement at Tamarack?
I think also with exactly what Gab said, just touching quickly on that is the stats. I love to look at why one camper is coming from 2 weeks, and how did we get that camper now to transition to 4 weeks? And because we have a lot of 2 weeks sessions, and how does that transfer over, and which sessions are more like, we'll have more campers but less revenue in a certain session because more kids are coming for shorter sessions. Right. So looking at that, but I'm a big I was loving some of the camps are doing these Instagram stories, which I just think, that's such a big thing, even to keep our staff. That's where our staff, and even now I see with our younger campers, the engagement is absolutely mind-boggling. And I'm friends with a lot of other camps, and just following some of their Insta stories, and you see the engagement and these quick little videos that it's so easy to do. It just keeps it top of mind. I think that's what's key, is that we think of camp, it's just during the summer, and the camp experience has to be all year now. And a couple of years ago, we started at Tamarack as a DVD launch party, where at the end of the summer, about a month after, just before our registration deadline, had a community event. And it started in a small theater, and now we have 300 kids. And for our international kids in Michigan, I drove down, there were like 30 kids who came to, and we just found these places. And the investment, again, it's just keeping Tamarack top of mind and keeping that community together. So that was some stuff that I'm always watching what other camps are doing. Some camps, and we adopted it from a couple of camps, is a new parent, you're sending your kid to Tamarack for your first time, and I picked it from one of the other campuses, this fun intro day in June. You're so nervous as a new parent. Bring your kids I bring a bunch of my staff. They take their kids to the other side of the room. They do some stuff with them. They make a name tag, and they learn part of the camp song. We go through and answer the most hilarious questions, and we open it up to the panel. Then we go through a day in the life of a camper. And then those kids make a name tag, so they get to meet some of the unit heads also. So the parents actually, it alleviates a lot of that nervous tension. But it was just a cool marketing thing that the parents got to see some of our staff before camp, and making it like camp is all year. So our goal this year is to do something over March break or just after March break, whether it's a renting of the ice at a skating rink and say, hey, bring your skates, and you bring a speaker, and if you have skates, great. If not, you just see your camp friends, and it's just great, a great tour. If you can make it, great. If you can't, so we'll post pictures, we'll do live feeds from it. But that camp isn't just the summer months, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so those are some of the things that I'm very aware of there's some great camps in the States who are doing some really wicked little videos, Insta stories too. Cool stuff.
Yep, right on. Yeah. That's good. Do any of you have one more quick tip to wrap us up, or I'll move us on to the tool of the week?
Yeah, I'd be amiss to say that camps, I really think camps should visit thanks to camp.ca, whether you're an American camp, a Canadian camp, or international. Yeah. It's a free marketing tool for camps where it's two parts. One is gathering your own camp stories. So it's basically finishing the sentence, thanks to camp, and posting that on your social media sites whenever, but we do it in October. And the other one is more than just fun, which is a marketing campaign based in research. And that's coming out March 17th. And there's going to be a whole bunch of marketing material for camps to prove to families that camp actually does good for their kids. And it goes back to being what Joe was saying, is being that partner to the parents. That, you want your kids to try different foods. We do too. You want your kids to play outside. We do too. And so it's all based in research, but it's a free marketing tool, and we're hoping that it keeps growing. So check that out.
Excellent. So that again is thanks to camp.ca. So thank you all for some great insights and some good sharing. What I'm going to do now is move us on to our tool of the week.
Tool of the week.
If you're a recent Camp Hacker joiner, our tool of the week is something that each of the panelists brings to the discussion that helps them be a better camp director. And Marc, I'm going to start with you. I know you got to leave pretty soon, so I want to give you a chance to share your tool of the week.
Sure. I'm actually pulling it up on my phone. So it's called Meme-matic, and it looks like that.
Yeah.
M-E-matic, M-A-T-I-C. And it's a super, I love, rather than just posting, hey, we hired so-and-so, and we do these funny things on Instagram where there's pictures, and it's just a template, a super easy template that when we're announcing any staff, and it's you upload a picture, you can do little video stuff, super easy, Meme-matic. And our staff love it. They love seeing who's being announced, and then the comments, and these really funny, creative little ways. So that's my tool.
Nice.
Meme-matic.
Meme-matic. M-E-matic.
Yeah.
Excellent. Marc, I'm going to, you're welcome to stay for another couple minutes, but I'll take a minute to say goodbye officially so we don't just lose you at the end.
Yes.
How can people follow up with you if they have any questions about the things you've said?
The easiest is Marc is email at Marc, M-A-R-C, at camptamarack.info. That's usually the easiest way to reach out to me.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on, Marc.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
Right on. Joe, what's your tool?
My tool of the week is something that I use every day that I'm doing any sort of renovations at camp or around. It is a non-conductive electricity texture. And so the one I posted to the the show notes is the Klein model. I have that. You can buy a less expensive model at most home stores and hardware stores. But essentially what it does is when you touch a wire, an electrical wire, it tells you whether the wire is live or not live.
Right.
And so I've done some wiring in my own house and in a couple of the buildings at camp recently. And I just carry it in my pocket so that I can remember and test to see if it's live or not live, or just check. And I was watching a home show recently, and I was surprised that these guys were tearing out kitchen cabinets and came across a wire, and they're like, "Oh, stop everything. We don't know if it's live or not live." And they called an electrician in. Now, I'm not sure if that's just a home show, but I was like, man, a $10 piece of equipment solves the problem with paying for an electrician to come in. And it's super easy to use. You press a button, and if it lights up red when you touch the wire, it's live. And if it doesn't light up red, it's not live. And it works in plugs as well, so you can just shove it in a plug to see if it's live or not live. So
excellent.
It's really handy.
Good thing for a Camp Director Toolkit.
Yeah.
Right on. Gab, what's your tool?
My tool is pegboards, installing pegboards in your office. I just did that with our winter office. And it just can make your space look pretty darn cool. And I think we're talking about marketing. I think it's important to also have your workspace reflect the good work that you do. So when people come into your workspace, they see, oh, I didn't know you guys did that. I didn't know just sort of represent yourself in a way that feels good and looks good and it's inspiring. But pegboards, I love them.
That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, so my tool is one that I've recently discovered. It's called Readwise, and I think it's at readwise.com. Readwise.io. And Readwise is a free service that you can use. You tie your Amazon account to it. So if you read on Kindle, I suppose if you read on any Kindle app and you highlight things in a book, and then Readwise will pull all those things down and put them in one particular searchable place. The Amazon highlights, Kindle highlights page is kind of clunky, but this allows it to make it searchable. And it also, I think where the magic happens is things that you've highlighted or quotes that you have captured using that tool, they get sent to you by email in the morning. So you might get 3 or 4 things in a morning in an email of ideas that you've captured that might be long lost. And I sort of go back and forth on whether I use a Kindle or the actual physical book. And I know there's a lot of attractive things of being able to write things in a physical book, but this is starting to change my mind. This makes Kindle reading for business books, personal development stuff, professional development stuff a lot more attractive because it's going to resurface those ideas that I have. So at the moment, this is free. So readwise.io, it's a really cool feature that I quite like. So.
And you can set your frequency, Travis, right? So I moved mine to once a week.
Yeah.
And they stay at the bottom when you first sign up for Readwise to just email them. And they got back to me. They're based out of Waterloo, Ontario. They got back to me and chatted for a little while. So
nice.
It's awesome. Yeah.
That's cool. That's good. Well, there you go. All Canadian panel, Canadian tools of the week. This will also work in the States, I know. Anyway, I want to take a minute and just thank you all for being contributing to the camp community by being part of the show today. So thanks, Mark. I know you got to run. We're grateful that you're here.
My pleasure. All right. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Bye,
buddy. Joe, if people want to follow up with you, what's a good way for them to do that?
You can follow up with me personally. You can follow up with me at Joe, J-O-E, at yoyojoe.com, Y-O-Y-O-J-O-E, or you can find out what I do at camp at campisbetter.com. Life is good. Camp is better.
Excellent. Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
I love that tagline.
I thought it up all by myself, Gab.
Gab, how can they follow up with you?
People can check out where I work at waro.com, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Gabrielle Rail.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank everybody for either watching us on YouTube or listening to us. We do appreciate when you leave a comment, review, thumbs up, whatever it is when you're on YouTube. That helps us decide which shows are a hit. If you could leave us a review, we'd be really grateful. You can go to camphacker.tv/iTunes, and it'll take you right to our review page. And we get notified when the reviews come in, and we're always grateful. And we have been known to sometimes read our reviews out on the show. So I thank you for those who found something good for this from this show. Take a couple minutes to go to that link, camphacker.tv/iTunes. So thank you all, and thank you to our listeners. We look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions, you can reach me at travis@camphacker.tv. And thank you for the evening, friends.
The Camp Hacker podcast is brought to you by Beth and Travis Allison, summer camp leadership training and marketing consultants. Thanks for listening. Camp Hacker, bringing your world into focus.
Hey, it's Travis. Camp directors often tell me they're just too tired to take on anything new. That's exactly why my free Resilient Camp Blueprint Diagnostic exists. It doesn't add work, it shows you progress. Quick, free, repeatable, you'll know if your systems are paying off without the guesswork. Try it today at camp.mba/Travis. That's camp.mba/Travis.